Hi everyone, welcome to my video tutorial on the PdfTiler app, which basically helps you convert any size PDF sewing pattern to an A0 size. So basically the output will be a document that is 841 millimeters in width, and the length will depend on the length of the actual sewing pattern. So here we go. Before we get started, I just want to say that this app can be used by anybody who makes PDF sewing patterns to anybody who has an existing PDF sewing pattern and wants to convert it to an A0 large format size. Sometimes a lot of the pattern makers will only sell the pattern in one size, so this makes it really easy to convert. So for both pattern makers and people who buy patterns, both can use this to check whether the pattern they've bought lines up properly before even they get to that printing stage and try to tape everything together. You can just use this app to check whether the pattern was created correctly. I'm going to first start by opening the actual app. So if you purchase this on Etsy, you'll get an HTML file, which you will then open via Chrome or any other browser of your choice. It is preferred that you use Chrome because I've tested a lot of this on Chrome, but it should work just fine on other browsers as well. If you are not able to open this, you basically will go to the file and then drag it into the browser like that, and then just open it. You want to start by uploading a PDF pattern. You're just going to click on the box over here, and that should then take you to where you can choose which one of your patterns you want to upload. So I'm going to pick this box reprieve pattern that I have. Once you open it, it will open like this. So right off the bat, it tells you that it has 8 pages, and you get options to trim out the margins. You'll need, if your pattern has margins, you're going to have to either ask the person who made the pattern to give you an idea of how much the margins are, or you can just manually tweak them and adjust them until you have removed all those margins. So for example, for my pattern, I know the margins are 0.5 inches, and that kind of gets you close to where you can only see the lines and not the actual white space, the margins. But you can, of course, tweak it to get it really, really close as well. You have the option to choose the margins in millimeters or inches, depending on what your pattern is. And then the next step is to basically, the way my pattern is, and I'll show you a different example, but you can see how the rows and columns were perfect in terms of the pattern. But you could have a pattern that only has 3 rows or has or 3 columns and has 3 rows or 4 rows. You will be able to adjust and tweak all of that. Another good thing about this software, this app, is that you'll be able to just drag, because sometimes your sewing pattern will not be arranged in a way that makes sense. So you can physically just move the pages so that all the letters line up. Again, this is based on your pattern, where you bought it from, how it was arranged. And so, yes, you'll have those options right off the bat. And then another really good thing about this is, since we're trying to convert it to an A0 size, which means that the total width cannot be greater than 841 millimeters, the app will give you a warning. So let's say right now I changed it to 5 columns, and so my width increased to 953, which right over here it shows you in red. And even if you try to download it, it will tell you that the pattern has exceeded that width. So that's one really good thing about this, is that it won't let you create a pattern that exceeds that size. So you can go back to what it was. Other than that, you can add rows. So if I move this over here or this over here, the output will still have the entire width and height as long as it doesn't exceed. So you'll still have this white space show up in the pattern. And as long as it's less than 841, you should be fine. But I'll go back to putting these over here, here, and then of course you can go ahead and remove that because you don't need it. So once you feel like you have the pattern all set, the margins have been removed, you can either preview it and you'll get a nice view where you can zoom in and just make sure everything lines up perfectly, or you can also just zoom into individual pages and make sure you got the letters correct. If you find it really difficult to just look at the whole thing and kind of drag stuff around, you can just actually just zoom into the pages that way. And then once you feel like you're all set, you can go ahead and generate a PDF, and it will then download that directly. And here I have the final PDF. The reason you have this empty space is because, of course, the width of our pattern was less than 841. And so it will make sure that the proportions, this measuring box is 2 by 2 inches. And then the height is, of course, the height of the pattern itself.